are going to study the large intestine. The extent of the large intestine, it is from the ileocecal junction to the ileocecal junction to anus. Extent of the large intestine is from the ileocecal junction to the anus, and the length of the large intestine is 1.5 meter. The length of the small intestine, longest part of the alimentary tract is the small intestine. It is about the 6.5 or the 6.25 meters, and the length of the large intestine is about 1.5 meter. And the different parts of the large intestine are cecum and vermiform appendix, cecum and the vermiform appendix, then ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, sigmoid colon, and rectum and anal canal. These are the parts of the large intestine. Commencement of the large intestine is the cecum and vermiform appendix. Then colon. Colon, it is divided into the 4 parts. They are the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and sigmoid colon. Then rectum and anal canal. These are the parts of the large intestine. What are the functions of the large intestine? Absorption of the lipids which are not absorbed by the small intestine. Eliminations of the undigested residues. Productions of the mucus for the movement of the intestinal content, etc. So what are the special features of the large intestine? What are the features of the small intestine? There is a presence of the bulk of Kerckring, villi, which function is to increase the surface area for the absorption. Intestinal glands are present. The special features of the large intestines are Taenia coli. Taenia coli. These are the longitudinal muscular band. These are the longitudinal muscular bands. And the length of the Taenia coli is about 4 feet. See here, in the large intestine, the longitudinal layers of the muscles, it becomes thickened to form the Taenia coli. And the length of the Taenia coli is about 4 feet, which is less than the length of the circular layers of the muscle. Circular layer of the muscles. Because of that reason, within the small area or the Taenia coli, the length of the Taenia coli is about 4 feet, but the length of the circular muscles, it is longer than the Taenia coli. Because of that reason, there is a puckering of the Taenia coli, which forms the pouches within the colon. That is the formations of the saculations and hausturations. And the other characteristic features is the presence of the fat-filled pouches called as the epiploic appendices. Appendices epiploic or the epiploic appendices. Taenia coli, these are the thickening of the longitudinal muscularis muscle. Taenia coli it is formed by the thickening of the longitudinal muscles. Sacculation and the hausturation, how it is formed? The length of the circular layers of the muscle is more than the length of the longitudinal muscles, and the longer circular muscles has to fit within the short length of the longitudinal muscles. Because of that reason, colon is puckered by the Taenia coli. It is named as the sacculation and hausturations, and the fat-filled pouches are called as the appendices epiploicae or the epiploic appendices. And Taenia coli, it is divided into the 3 types or the 3 types or the 3 parts. They are the Taenia libera. Taenia coli are 3 in number: Taenia libera, Taenia ommentalis, Taenia Tenia libera, Tenia aumentalis, and the Tenia mesocolica. So what are the different parts of the Taenia coli? Taenia coli are 3 in number. They are the Taenia libera, Taenia mesocolica, and the Taenia aumentalis. Taenia aumentalis, Taenia libera, Taenia mesocolica. In the cecum, ascending colon, descending colon, and in case of the sigmoid colon, this Taenia libera, it lies anteriorly. Taenia mesocolica, posteromedially. Taenia aumentalis, posterolaterally. But in case of the transverse colon, its position is changed. This Taenia libera, in case of the ascending, descending, sigmoid, and the rectum, it lies anteriorly, but in case of the transverse colon, it lies inferiorly. Superiorly is the Taenia aumentalis. And posteriorly is Taenia mesocolica. What are the different parts of the subdivision of the Taenia coli? They are Taenia libera, aumentalis, and the Taenia mesocolica. And these Taenia coli are absent in the vermiform appendix and rectum and anal canal. These Taenia are absent. And this Taenia coli, it begins from the base of the appendix. Proximal attachment of the Taenia coli is at the base of the appendix. And distally, it is continuous with the circular layer of the muscles of the rectum. See, up to the sigmoid colon only there is a thickening of the longitudinal bands are present. They are named as the Taenia coli. But in case of the rectum, the circular muscles are regular. But in case of the colon, they are thickened to forms the longitudinal band called as the Taenia coli. And these Taenia coli are divided into the 3 parts. They are the Taenia libera, Taenia mesocolica, and the Taenia aumentalis. Special features of the large intestine is Taenia coli. This puckering caused by the Taenia coli is called hausturations or the saculations, and these fat-filled pouch are called the appendices epiploicae. First part of the large intestine is cecum. The commencement of the large intestine is the cecum. It is a blind sac. And the location of the cecum, it is in right iliac fossa. Iliac fossa lies on the lateral inguinal ligament. And the measurements of the cecum is, its length is 6 centimeter and breadth is the 7.5 centimeter. See, you have to remember the length. In other cases, most of the structures, the length is more than the breadth. But in case of the cecum, the length is less than the breadth. Breadth, it is about the 7.5 centimeter and the length is the 6 centimeters. And in other structures which breadth is more than the length, they are the prostate, pons, and pituitary glands. Cecum, pons, pituitary gland, and prostate has greater breadth than the length. What are the different types of the cecum? They are the conical type, intermediate type, and the ampullary type. Conical, intermediate, and the ampullary type. Conical, it is present in about 13% subjects. And this vermiform appendix, it is arise from the apex of the cecum. Conical type present in 13% of individuals, and the vermiform appendix, it arises from the apex of the cecum. Intermediate type, it is present about the 9% cases. This conical type also called as the fetal type. Intermediate type also called as the infantile type, present in 9% cases. And here in intermediate types of the cecum, right and the left cecal pouches, they are equal. And the vermiform appendix, they arise from the depressions of the cecum. Vermiform appendix, they arise from the depressions. Now the ampullary type or the adult type, it is present in about the 78% case, 78% of individuals. And in ampullary type or the adult type, right cecal pouches is larger than the left cecal pouch. See, right cecal pouch is larger than the left cecal pouch, and this vermiform appendix, it arises from the posteromedial wall of the cecum 2 centimeters distal of the ileocecal junction or the ileocecal orifice. Now the arterial supply of cecum, they are supplied by the anterior and the posterior branches of inferior division of ileocholic artery. This ileocholic artery is a branch of the superior mesenteric artery. Venous drainage veins corresponds to the arteries, and they drain in the superior mesenteric vein of the portal system. Lymphatic drainage, superior mesenteric groups of the pre-aortic lymph nodes. Nerve supply, they are also supplied by the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. Parasympathetic, they are supplied by the vagus nerve, right and the left vagus nerve. Sympathetic via the superior mesenteric plexus. Superior mesenteric plexus. And the preganglionic fibers arise from T11 to L1 segments of spinal cord. Deblina, you asked me about the nerve supply, sympathetic nerve supply of the this stomach.
Yes, ma'am.
In Gray's Anatomy, it is written about T5 to T12 segments of the spinal cord. So you can write T5 to T9 or the T5 to T10 segments of the spinal cord, because it is supplied by the greater splenic nerve. Celiac plexus has the three plexus. They are the greater, lesser, and the least splenic nerves. So greater, it is formed by the T5 to T9 segments of the spinal cord. As the stomach, it is supplied by the greater splenic nerve. It is the T5 to T9 segments of the spinal cord. Even you can write the T5 to T10 segments of the spinal cord. Give a slash T5 to T9 or T10 segments of the spinal cord. Okay.
Okay.
So when you cut the cecum, you will find the two orifices in the interior of the cecum. They are the ileocecal orifice and the appendicular orifice. Ileocecal orifice and the appendicular orifice. This ileocecal orifice, it lies at the junction of the right lateral plane and transtubercular plane. Right lateral plane and the transtubercular plane. And this ileocecal orifice, it is guarded by a valve. Its function is to prevent the reflux of the cecal contents into the ileum. And it has two valves, upper valve and the lower valve. Upper valve is horizontal, whereas the lower valve is the semilunar valve, which its concavity, it is directing cranially. And this upper and the lower valve, it meets at an angle, forming the mucosal fold called as the frenulum. The functions of this ileocecal valve is to prevent the reflux of the content of the cecum to the ileum. Appendicular orifice, it is circular orifice. It lies 2 centimeter distal of the ileocholic orifice in the posteromedial wall of the cecum. See here, this Taenia coli, it begins from the base of the appendix. It begins from the base of the appendix. These are the Taenia coli. Which Taenia coli? It is divided into the three parts. Anterior is the Taenia libera. Now the clinical anatomy of the cecum. Cecum, it is commonly involved in the amoebiasis causing the amoebic dysentery, that is the Entamoeba histolytica. Now the intestinal tuberculosis and the carcinoma cecum. Then the inflammations of the cecum is known as the cechitis or the typhlitis. Sometimes in Viva may ask, inflammation of the cecum is called cechitis or the typhlitis. Now the vermiform appendix. Vermiform appendix. It is a worm-like diverticulum which is arise from the posteromedial wall of the cecum. Which arise from the posteromedial wall of the cecum, lies 2 centimeter below the ileocecal orifice. The length of the vermiform appendix is 2 to 20 centimeter and average being the 9 centimeter. The location of the vermiform appendix is in right iliac fossa. So the normal locations of the cecum and the vermiform appendix is in the right iliac fossa. And this vermiform appendix, it is divided into the three parts. They are the tip, body, and base. What are the parts of the appendix? They are the base, body, and tip. Tip, it is free from the mesoappendix. Only the body and the base, they are suspended by a peritoneal folds named as mesoappendix or the mesoappendix. Mesoappendix. Only the base and the body, it is suspended by a peritoneal folds, but the tip of the appendix is free. So it can be directed in different places or the different position. So according to the directions of the tip of the appendix, it can be paracolic or 11 o'clock positions. Wherever the tip it is directed, it is named accordingly. One is the tip, it is directed on the side of the cecum. On the side of the, it is ascend by the side of the cecum, then it is named as the paracolic or 11 o'clock positions. So what are the different positions of the appendix? One is the paracolic or the 11 o'clock positions. Second is the retrocecal. The tip, it is directed behind the cecum. Retro means behind. Retrocecal or the 12 o'clock positions. And this is the most commonest type of the vermiform appendix. Which one is the commonest type of the vermiform appendix? That is the retrocecal. In about 60% subjects presents the retrocecal type of the vermiform appendix. Now third one is the splenic tip of the vermiform appendix. It is directed towards the spleen. They are the they may be the either pre-ileal or post-ileal. Now the fourth one is the promontory type. Promontory type. The tip, it is directed towards the sacral promontory. That is, the sacrum has the sacral promontory, the elevation named as the sacral promontory. If the tip of the vermiform appendix, it is directed towards the sacral promontory, it is named as the promontory type or the 3 o'clock positions. Pelvic type or the 4 o'clock position. It is directed towards the pelvic cavity. So it is named as the pelvic type. And this is the second most common. Most commonest is the retrocecal, and the second most common is the pelvic type, and it is present in about 30% cases. Pelvic type of vermiform appendix is present in 30% individuals. In 60% is the retrocecal. Now the sixth one is the mid-inguinal type. If the tip of the this vermiform appendix is directed towards the inguinal ligament, then that type of appendix it is called as the mid-inguinal type or the 6 o'clock position. So what are the different positions of the vermiform appendix? They are paracolic, which ascends by the side of the colon. Then retrocecal is the most commonest type of the vermiform appendix, which lies behind the cecum, and it is present in 60% cases. Then the splenic type, the tip it is directed towards the spleen is the splenic type. When the tip of the vermiform it is directed towards the sacral promontory is the promontory type. Directed towards the pelvic cavity is the pelvic type, and this is the second most common. It is present in 30% individuals. And the last one is the mid-inguinal type, which is directed towards the inguinal ligament or the 6 o'clock position. See, this position it is important. Vermiform appendix with positions, different positions of the tip of vermiform appendix. Now the blood supply of the vermiform appendix, they are supplied by the appendicular artery. Appendicular artery is a branch of the lower division of the ileocholic artery. Cecum it is supplied by the anterior and the posterior cecal artery branch of the ileocholic artery. Ileocholic artery is a branch of the superior mesenteric artery. And the appendix it is supplied by an appendicular artery, which is a branch of the ileocholic artery. Again, the ileocholic artery is a branch of the superior mesenteric artery. Venous drainage also. Veins corresponds with the arteries and finally drains into the superior mesenteric vein. Now the applied anatomy is the appendicitis. That is the inflammations of the appendix. Vermiform appendix is called the appendicitis. And the referred pain of the appendix, it is first felt around the periumbilical region, because the nerve supply of the vermiform appendix is T10 segments of the spinal cord, T10 segments of the spinal cord, and here also it is around the umbilicus also it is supplied by the T10 nerves. Because of that reason, when there is a appendicitis, the person felt pain around the umbilicus, then it will subside on the right iliac. Before pain of the appendicitis, it is first felt around the periumbilical region. Because of the same nerve supply, they are the T10 or the T9 segments of the spinal cord. Now, what is Mac-Bornese point? Mac-Bornese point. See, in this Mac-Bornese point, the maximum tenderness occurs during the appendicitis. The maximum tenderness we can feel in the region of the Mac-Bornese point. So, Mac-Bornese point, it is the point at the junctions of the, first of all, we have to draw a line, imaginary line from the right anterior superior iliac spine. Remember, right anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus, you have to draw a line and divide this line into the medial 2/3 and the lateral 1/3. Medial 1/3 and the lateral 1/3. The point at the junction of the medial 2/3 and the lateral 1/3 is called the Mac-Bornese point. Mac-Bornese point, and in the Mac-Bornese point, maximum tenderness is felt during the appendicitis. An imaginary line drawn from the right anterior superior iliac spine to the umbilicus. Divide this line into the medial 2/3 and the lateral 1/3 point at this junction is called the Mac-Bornese point, where maximum tenderness is felt during the appendicitis. And these are the congenital anomalies of the vermiform appendix as well as the cecum. Normal positions of the cecum and the vermiform appendix, it is in right iliac fossa. Sometimes it may be present in the left iliac fossa, lumbar regions. Now the histology of the appendix. The wall of the appendix also consists of it as 4 layers from inside outward: mucosa, submucosa, muscular layer, and the serosa. The identifying features for the appendix is there is a presence of the lymphatic nodule on the lamina propria. This lymphatic nodule, it presents the germinal centers. See, other structures, they are same. Lining epithelium, it is lined by the simple columnar epithelium. Simple columnar epithelium. Lamina propria, there is a presence of the few intestinal glands, but there is a presence of the lymphatic nodules with germinal center. And this lymphatic nodule, it may invaginate towards the submucosa. At those places, the muscularis mucosae may absent. And the mucosa, muscularis mucosae, it consists of the two layers of the muscles. They are the inner is the circular, outer is the longitudinal. Submucosa made up of the loose areolar connective tissue where there is a presence of the blood vessels, nerves, lymphatics, etc. Muscularis externa consists of the inner circular layer, outer longitudinal layer. In between is the aortax plexus, that is the north plexus of the muscularis externa. And the serosa, lined by the mesothelium, rests on the loose areolar connective tissue. The characteristic features of the appendix is presence of the lymphatic nodules. This cecum, what is the length of the cecum?
6
Length
centimeter.
and breadth?
7.5
7.5 7.5 centimeter. And this cecum, it may be the intraperitoneal or the retroperitoneal. It may be intra or the retroperitoneal organ, whereas ascending colon, descending colon, these are the retroperitoneal organ. They are not suspended by the peritoneal folds. Ascending and the descending colon, they are directly attached with the posterior abdominal wall. Only the anterior surface as well as the lateral surface, they are covered by the peritoneum. And this transverse and the sigmoid colon, these are the intraperitoneal organ. Transverse colon, they are suspended by peritoneum, known as the transverse mesocolon. Peritoneum of the transverse colon, it is named as the transverse mesocolon, and the peritoneum of the sigmoid colon, known as the sigmoid mesocolon. Peritoneum of stomach, it is named as the omentum. Peritoneum of the small intestine, mesentery. Peritoneum of the colon, it is named as the mesocolon. Transverse mesocolon, sigmoid mesocolon, appendicular mesocolon. Appendicular mesocolon. Okay. Now the ascending colon, these are the retroperitoneal organ. This is the retroperitoneal organ, and it extends from the cecum to the right colic flexure. This right colic flexure also called as the hepatic flexure. Hepatic flexure. It extends from the the junction of the cecum and the ascending colon is the transtubercular plane. Transtubercular plane. Distal to the transtubercular plane is the cecum, which is the commencement of the large intestine blind sac, and above the transtubercular plane is the ascending colon. It extends up to the right colic flexure or the hepatic flexure. Length, it is about the 15 centimeter, and the diameter is about the 5 centimeter. See, sometimes in the cecum, posterior relations may be asked. What are the posterior relations of the cecum? Right psoas major muscle and iliacus muscle. Right psoas major muscles and the iliac muscles. Then posterior cutaneous nerve of the thigh, femoral nerve, and genitofemoral nerve of the right side. Because cecum, you know, its normal position is in the right iliac fossa. So genitofemoral nerve, right side of the genitofemoral nerve, right femoral nerve, right posterior cutaneous nerve of the thigh, right psoas major, and the iliacus muscle. These are the posterior relation of cecum. transverse colon. Transverse colon, it extends from the right or the hepatic flexure to the left colic flexure or the splenic flexure. On the right side is the largest gland lies, so it is named as it lies under the liver, so hepatic flexure, and the left colic flexure has relations with the spleen, so it is named as the splenic flexure or the left colic flexure, and it is suspended by a transverse mesocolon. So this is a intra or the retroperitoneal organ, transverse colon,
Intraperitoneal.
intraperitoneal organ. And the positions of the tinea coli is slightly different from the ascending and the descending colon. In case of the transverse colon, tinea libera, it lies inferiorly. Posteriorly is tinea mesocolica, and superiorly is tinea ommentalis. Ommentalis, because you know in the stomach we have still that greater omentum, it extends downward as a greater sac, so it has a relations with the greater omentum named as the tinea ommentalis. Length of the transverse colon is 50 centimeter in length and diameter is 5 centimeter. Now the descending colon. Descending colon, it extends from the left colic flexure to the left pelvic brim. You know what is pelvic brim? So it extends from the left colic flexure to the left pelvic brim, and this is also a retroperitoneal organ, and its length, it is about the 25 centimeter. 25 centimeter. Breadth is a 3.5 centimeter. 3.5 centimeter. Now the sigmoid colon. Sigmoid colon, it extends from the left pelvic brim to the rectosigmoid junctions, which lies at the level of the third sacral vertebrae. Third sacral vertebra. Left pelvic brim to the rectosigmoid junctions, which lies at third sacral vertebra. And the length of the sigmoid colon is 40 centimeter, breadth 3.5 centimeter, and it is suspended by a sigmoid mesocolon. So this is also intraperitoneal organ. Ascending and the descending colon, these are the retroperitoneal organ. They are only covered from anteriorly and laterally by the peritoneum. Posterior surface of the ascending and the descending colon, they are directly attached with the posterior abdominal wall. Whereas transverse and the sigmoid colon, they are suspended by a mesocolon. They are the transverse mesocolon and the sigmoid colon in the transverse and the sigmoid colon respectively. So histology of the large intestine. It also consists of the 4 layers as other smaller other GIT. They are the from inside outward. They are the mucosa, submucosa, muscularis externa, and the serosa. Serosa. In case of the small intestine, there is a villi is present, but the mucosa of the large intestine is smooth. Mucosal surface, it is smooth, and in the lining epithelium of the GIT is the columnar epithelium, simple columnar epithelium. But in case of the large intestine, in between the columnar epithelium, there is a presence of the goblet cells, or it is also lined by the goblet cells, whose functions is to secrete the or the produce the mucus, which helps in the movement of the contents or the fecal materials. Lamina propria, there is a presence of the numerous intestinal glands. Its functions also secrete the mucus, and in some places, maybe there is a presence of the lymphatic nodule. But in case of the vermiform appendix, its identifying features is the lymphatic nodules. In lamina propria, there are numerous lymphatic nodules are present with germinal center, but in case of the large intestine, few lymphatic nodule may present. And this is the muscularis mucosae. It consists of the two layers of the muscles. Outer is the longitudinal, inner is the circular. Submucosa, same thing. Muscularis is external also. Same, but there is a slightly different in the longitudinal muscles. What are the identifying features of the this large intestine? Taenia coli. And that taenia coli, it is formed by the thickening of the longitudinal muscles. Now, the longitudinal muscles, they are not regular. It does not line the all the surface. It does not line the all the surfaces of the wall of the large intestines. They thickens to forms the taenia coli. See, they thickens to forms the taenia coli. And there are three in number. They are the taenia mesocolica, taenia omenthalis, and the taenia libera. Clear? And the outermost layer is the serosa. Today we will study up to this only. Tomorrow we will study the rectum and anal canal.
Ma'am,
Mm.
त्यो सिकमको टाइपमा के एम्पुलरी टाइप थियो नि त्यसमा भर्मिफर्म एपेन्डिक्सको ओरिजिन भनिदिनु न एकचोटि कहाँबाट चाहिँ एराइज हुन्छ
Ampullary चाहिँ posterior-medial wall of the cecum 2 cm distal to the ileocolic orifice. That is the normal positions or the adult type. धेरै जसो मान्छेमा चाहिँ त्यही प्रेजेन्ट हुन्छ तर अर्को भनेको चाहिँ कोनिकल र अर्को के अरे
कोनिकल र इन्टरमिडिएट
इन्टरमिडिएट चाहिँ के हुन्छ इन्फान्टमा प्रेजेन्ट हुन्छ 9% केसेसमा त्यसैले गर्दा चाहिँ इन्फान्टाइल भन्छ एन्ड इन केस अफ द एडल्ट टाइप अर द ampullary type, right cecal pouch is larger than the left cecal pouch.
थैंक यू मैम
मैम वो असेंडिंग कोलोन और ट्रांसफर कोलोन में वो जो ये था रेट्रोपेरिटोनियल एस्पेक्ट था वो फिर से बता दीजिए.
See in this diagram, Sudesa, see ampullary right cecal pouch is greater than the left cecal pouch and the appendix it arises from the posterior medial wall of the cecum 2 cm distal of the ileocolic orifice. 78% cases. It is an adult type, also called as the adult type. See here, this is the ascending and the descending colon. Ascending and the descending colon. This ascending, descending colon, as well as the cecum, also called as. Sometimes cecum it may be the intraperitoneal or the retroperitoneal. But ascending and the descending colon, it is always a retroperitoneal organ. Posterior wall of the ascending and the descending colon, they are directly attached with the posterior abdominal wall. It is directly attached or it directly comes in contact with the posterior abdominal wall. They are not lined by the peritoneum. Only the anterior surface and the lateral surfaces of this ascending and the descending colon, they are lined by the peritoneum. They are lined by the peritoneum. Because of this reason, it is called as the retroperitoneal organ. Whereas in case of the transverse and the sigmoid colon, these whole walls or the surfaces of the colon, they are suspended by the peritoneum. Because of that reason, it is called as a intraperitoneal organ. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What are the different positions of the vermiform appendix? Aditya S. Kumar.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
What are the different positions of the vermiform appendix? It is important.
Ma'am, paracolic, retrocecal, pelvic, splenic, subcecal, and promotoric, somewhat like that.
Which one is the most commonest?
Retrocecal.
And second most common?
Pelvic.
And what are the different parts of the appendix? See, what are the different parts of the appendix? Here it is the vermiform appendix. What are the different parts of the appendix?
different parts of appendix and tip, body and base.
Tip, body, and the base. Tip is intraperitoneal, or it is not a peritoneal organ. It is not suspended by a peritoneum. Does it suspended by a
Tip is variable. It's free.
suspended by a this appendicular meso. The base and the body, they are peritoneal folds named as the appendicular mesoappendix. Mesoappendix. As tip is free from the mesoappendix, this tip can be directed in different positions, and accordingly it has a different types. There you told just if tip is directed towards the sides of the cecum, paracolic, behind the colon, cecum, retrocecal, towards the spleen, splenic type, towards the sacrum, sacral promontory, promontory type, towards the pelvic, positions, and mid-inguinal is the, if it is directed towards the inguinal ligament, mid-inguinal type.